Hey guys, welcome to this week's Survivor Chat.
All right, this right here is episode 6. So last time they voted off Anna.
Yes. You were totally
I didn't write it there. I was just like, all right. So
that was great. Yes, Anna is out. So back at Gondol, everybody is showing Ty love. They're just like, you know what? You do so much around camp. We couldn't get rid of you.
You're so good with that chicken. All right.
We want to keep you here until we eat that chicken.
Peter is still full of himself.
Of course he is.
He wants Joe out next. He's going to flip on his own tribe.
He wants to get revenge for when they got out Liz weeks ago. He's not over it.
No.
He wants revenge.
Well, over at Chandlo, Debbie is thinking Nick is hot.
She called him a Greek god.
She's like, yeah, he's definitely going to get a modeling contract out of this.
And then she talked about how she's modeled for years. Debbie!
All right, so they got the tree mail, and it's like explaining that it's basically basketball. Mm-hmm. So they're like, oh,
we gotta practice basketball because the other tribe has a freaking basketball player.
So they have Nick practicing throwing balls into some baskets.
We'll see.
All right, well, it's time for the reward challenge, and sure enough, they were right. It was basketball.
But before they started, Julia came back from the Braun camp, and she got to join her new tribe, Gondol.
I thought that she was going to go back and meet them at the beach, but...
No, she's got to be there for the challenge.
Right. No, I mean before.
Oh, no, it's like exile when you meet up at the challenge.
All right, so you have to... This is a surf and turf. You have to dive.
One person dives in.
To release buoys. And then get all the buoys back to the shore. Mm-hmm. And then once all of the buoys are there, somebody's got to shoot 10 baskets with them.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So Gondol had a huge lead. But first, the reward is a Survivor picnic.
It looked heavenly.
Doesn't it always?
Yes.
The food on Survivor always looks so good.
But, like, how long is that sitting out in the sun?
Yeah, I hope they like throw
they must
that
have
back
it like
on
chilled
ice.
or something. Yeah,
I hope so.
Right? They have to.
Or frozen, or
I don't know. Maybe that's the display food.
It looks like that's the food they walk away with, though.
I guess. I don't know. They must have some sort of system.
It's freaking hot there.
But anyway,
Michelle had some trouble diving and untying the buoys.
She did, because you had to like break that net open basically and release all the buoys.
Yeah, you had to pull like a string or stick out.
Mm-hmm. I feel like every time you have to dive down for something in a challenge, Aubrey is on that for her tribe, and she always does a good job.
Right.
So again, she got the early lead for her team.
Scott and Nick. Nick made up a lot of time. They were the two shooters, and
Scott, it took him a while to make a basket.
It was a learning curve. I mean, it's not a basketball, so you can't, say, well, you're a basketball player. No, I'm shooting a buoy into a bunch of bamboo sticks.
Still, it's the idea.
It's a lot different.
He's throwing a ball into a hoop, okay?
All right, well, Scott barely won. Nick really made a valiant effort.
It was close.
Making up time, but Scott barely won, and Gondol gets the feast. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was delicious. So what?
Chandlo, got nothing for you.
All right, well, Peter immediately, like flies on crap, is talking to Julia. I want to work with you. She passed his conniving test. She doesn't look devious, so he wants to work with her.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, Aubrey's noticed that Peter is kind of a dick, so she should get rid of him when the time is right.
Yeah, she doesn't feel like she can do it right now, numbers-wise, and of course, Joe wants to stay loyal to their tribe, so it might not be the right time for this.
All right, well, over at Chandlo, Nick immediately tells Michelle, you blew it.
No, he was like, don't feel bad. You did a good job.
Well, that's what everybody was telling Nick. They were like, you made up a lot of time. Don't blame yourself.
Yeah,
However, that Michelle, she blew it.
I mean, if he had more time, maybe, but...
Yeah, so Debbie was like...
Well, Michelle goes out in the water to be alone.
Debbie's like, shouldn't leave her alone. Keep an eye on her. She might drown herself,
Oh my
Damn, Debbie.
Yeah, seriously, Sydney was like, damn, Debbie. Rocking the vans again.
Yeah, so Debbie wants a woman to win. That's unusual.
Well, because Michelle approaches her, because Michelle knows, like, I gotta get some stuff going here.
Yeah.
So she's trying to get some good vibes with Debbie, and Debbie's like, yeah, I want a woman to win. Let's do this.
Let's get rid of Jason.
Yeah, so then Michelle brings that back to Nick, her fellow beauty.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, Debbie's on board. She wants to get rid of Jason, so let's do that. And Nick is like, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go against Jason.
Let's get rid of Michelle. I know. I want to work with Michelle.
Well, because they were on the same tribe, but
Yeah.
he's being a little patronizing.
Yeah.
Not cool.
No. All right. Well, at Gondol, Joe confronts Peter. I mean, he's former FBI.
He goes all FBI on him, and he's just like, Peter, are you trying to take me out?
What was the question?
You can see it all over Peter's face. He stands there like,
It's like he was a kid with his hand caught in
Yeah.
a cookie jar.
yeah, when you ask what was the question again, come on.
I'm surprised Joe didn't waterboard him.
He didn't need to.
Joe knows.
He didn't need
Joe
to.
knows.
Peter had it all over his face. Come
You know
on.
what? I'm not former FBI, and I know.
Come on. Peter was
He's
standing
guilty.
there like,
All right, well, it's time for the immunity challenge.
okay.
It's an obstacle course for the whole tribe.
This challenge was all about teamwork. You got to help your teammates get through that course.
Then you got to knock some blocks out of a net with
Mm-hmm.
some sticks and stack them all up. It is a real team building exercise.
There wasn't really any thinking in this challenge. It was just like being a good teammate.
Right. So Chandler was leading,
Mm-hmm.
and then Gondol was leading at the net when you had to knock the blocks out. I mean, it was very
It was
close.
pretty close for most of it.
Yeah. The end, the stacking, it was neck and neck.
Gondol had a bit of a lead going into it, but then they had this weird strategy.
Well, that was Peter's strategy.
Right. They built up the bottom of the tower for the most part with the bigger blocks.
Right.
And then Peter wanted them to like place the rest of the big blocks underneath
the smaller
the
blocks
stack
stacked
that they
up.
were holding up.
Right.
What?
It fell and it hit Joe in the head, and Joe
Those
was
were heavy
bleeding.
blocks. Chan Lo was doing it what I think is the logical way and just stacking them up.
Right.
You know?
Right. And Debbie was on Nick's shoulders, I think, and on the other team, Ty was on Scott's, but not at first because they were really trying to do that Peter strategy. But then when that wasn't working, I mean, they had to go
switch
with
it up.
yeah, they had to switch it up midstream. And Chandler won.
Yeah.
It was very close.
It
though.
was close.
It was very close.
It came down to like 1 or 2 blocks.
Peter was pissed, and
After the challenge was over, he goes over their freaking tower and just knocks it down. You know he was that a-hole kid in like Monopoly or Checkers or whatever. When he's losing, he's just like, bleh, he flips the table.
table flipper.
Flips the game board.
All right, so like we said, Peter's strategy failed, so he's feeling like, ooh, I hope they don't want to get rid of me. Well, Aubrey and Joe, they're going to go with the plan of getting rid of Julia because they want to keep their
numbers.
Their number of 3 over everybody else. So Joe is going to have to eat a little crow. He goes over to Peter and tries to smooth things out.
Sorry or whatever.
And Peter's dumb enough to be like, okay.
I mean, what's he gonna say? No, screw you. He doesn't have the numbers
Well,
to say that.
He could. He could definitely be drinking 2%.
Could he?
He could have. I
All
don't
right.
know.
Well, Julia is not ready to go home.
Hell no. She just got there.
So she's talking to Ty. She's like, let's make this work. Let's get rid of Peter.
Let's talk to Aubrey.
Yeah, they know that Joe is not going to want to flip. So they're thinking, Aubrey, there's a chance.
They came up with a genius idea to tell Aubrey that Pete wants to get rid of her. I love that they did
I
this.
can't believe
It
they
was
just
so
made that grab
smart.
up. And she was just like, wait, what? She knew that Peter was trying to go after Joe, but she didn't know, because it didn't happen,
Right.
that he also was trying to get rid of her.
All right, so Aubrey goes back and tells Joe, and Joe's like, F no, I'm not switching. Really, Joe?
What are you doing?
That was terrible. So, Ty and Julia and Scott don't know what to do
They don't
because if Aubrey's not going to switch,
It's going to be a tie, and it's just not...
it's going to look bad for them.
Yeah.
They're going to be even more on the shit list.
Right,
So-
so it's time for Tribal.
And Julia says, hey, Jeff, the vibe here is that the tribe is split.
I mean, you got 3 brains and then 3 others, so.
Right, the others.
Yeah.
All right, so Peter blames himself for the loss.
Yeah.
That's mighty big of you.
Your strategy did cause the loss, yep.
And Aubrey says that Peter is a loose cannon, and I was like, no, you didn't. And he's just like...
Yeah, he's like, wait, what? What are you saying now? What?
Jeff was totally pissed because, well, Jeff was talking to somebody else.
They were all talking about the plan. Oh!
Jeff's like, what's being said here? And everybody's like,
well, Ty and
telling
Scott
you.
were like, what are we doing? Peter, original plan, blah, blah, blah. So then, freaking, what's his face? Scott is like, original plan.
Yeah, he said it out loud.
You couldn't come up with a nickname for it or something? Original plan.
And then Peter's just like in space, goes
Yeah,
right
he's
over
just
his
like,
head.
huh?
So then Aubrey is like telling Joe, let's get rid of Peter. And Joe is just like, no. What? After that, you're like, no.
Yeah, so it's time for the vote.
All right. And Aubrey originally voted for Julia.
She originally planned, writes down Julia.
Crosses it out and writes in Pete.
Oh, snap!
What? So Peter got voted off.
He
Thank
did.
God. 'Cause
And
he
Joe was pissed.
He really was pissed. Wow. So next time it's going to be exciting because it's the merge. So like best buddies are,
reunited and it feels so good. Or does it?
Oh, I don't know. It's going to be crazy. So let us know what you guys thought in the comments. And until next time, much love.
Edit.